Hi, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video. Yeah, I'm wearing a hat because my hair is not giving, my skin is not giving, nothing is giving. I'm waiting on a glow up to happen sometime this century. Okay, so I'm not really sure what this video really is. I'm not really sure what to call it, whether it's like a longer discussion type video or an advice video, or maybe I can make it into some sort of podcast. I'm not really too sure. I haven't quite decided yet, but if I do end up making this into a podcast in the future, welcome to season 1, episode 1 of said podcast that I haven't yet found a name for. Today's topic of discussion will be how to survive and thrive in secondary school. So yeah, quick disclaimer, take everything I say with a pinch of salt because I am no expert. Everyone experiences things differently and at different speeds. So this is not me in any way telling you that you have to do any of these things, but if you do feel that some of these things might work for you, then by all means, do them. And these can apply to any years, whether you're just starting out in secondary school, going from year 6 into year 7, or you're midway through, like year 9, or if even you're going into your last year, like year 11 or year 13. It's never too late to implement a new mindset and change into your life. So yeah, now we've got all that boring stuff out of the way, let's start. So one of the first things that I would say to someone who's going through secondary school in order to kind of make themselves stand out is to contribute in class, so ask as many questions as you can, because if you don't understand something, the best thing that you can do really is ask the teacher for help. In the end of the day, that's what they're there for. That's literally what they get paid to do. And you may have often heard the saying, there's no such thing as a silly question, right? And that is true. Like, sure, okay, I've seen people ask things that don't make sense or might seem really obvious and etc., but I can still appreciate that if someone, if that's something that they genuinely had to ask in order to help themselves, then literally who am I to judge? So a lot of people, right? Look, a lot of people are idiots in secondary school, particularly in year 9. I'm not sure why that's such a bad year, but something I guess about being ages 13 to 14 make most kids just absolutely unbearable to be around. So if some little idiots end up laughing at you because you want to better your education, then that's on them. And literally pay it no attention, because I promise you, everyone who has, a working brain above the age of, 7 years old, will forget about it in the next 5 minutes. So yeah, but look, in the rare occasion that you do come across someone who just won't let it go even when no one else is laughing, which is something that happened to me actually. Look, let me tell you, I was in year 9 maths and I didn't even ask a silly question. What it was is I read out the answer to a question incorrectly, and this silly bitch, for whatever reason, found it absolutely hilarious and proceeded to laugh, or force the fakest laugh actually, for the entirety of the rest of the lesson until it ended, even though literally no one else in my class found it funny. So yeah, that happened. But bear in mind, the teacher miraculously didn't seem to hear or didn't want to hear or do anything about it. So, I mean, yeah, I suppose she was a supply teacher, though, to be fair, so I didn't exactly expect her to be good at discipline, let's be honest. She was probably thinking, well, look, this is not my class, not my problem, right? So I don't exactly blame her. But yeah, I found personally, the more that I contributed in class, the more I became an active listener instead of a passive listener, and the more I was able to learn, and also it helped keep me focused because I felt more productive, I think you'd be surprised to know how much quicker you actually learn things, how much quicker your brain will absorb information in class by simply participating more often. And you'll find teachers warm more to those who ask more questions as opposed to those who just sit quietly and never raise their hand, because to them, even though it might not be the case for you, but to them, that's a sign that this is someone who really wants to get the most out of their education and ensure that they understand what's being taught. Now, I know that this may be difficult for some to hear, because you're thinking the majority of people that actually don't speak much in class, it's not because they don't want to learn, it's because they have severe social anxiety. But it's only been until recently that teachers have actually started being, I suppose, educated in more depth about mental health and stuff like that in class. So most teachers actually aren't going to be very understanding of that. So in their mind, they kind of probably think that you're like, I don't know, perhaps just don't really care about learning, or they're a bit lazy. So, I mean, look, in the end of the day, you have to understand it from a teacher's point of view. Their job is to help you, right? How can they help you understand what's going on if you're not communicating, whether you do or don't understand something? You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of leaving it up to them to be a mind reader, which can be quite annoying. You know, in the end of the day, if you think that you're the only one with pressure on you to get a certain grade, you're not. Teachers are under severe stress every year to reach a certain number of students that get a certain, you know, grade by the end of the year. Otherwise, if they don't, it reflects badly on them, and that can ruin their reputation, and for some, it can even get them fired. So, you know, you need to communicate, because if your teacher doesn't know whether you do or don't understand something, then they can't help you. You know what I mean? So even if it starts off with, you know, you just talking to the teacher after class once everyone's gone, you know, privately, and discussing what you do and don't understand, that's a starting point. And then gradually you can help them build your confidence in raising your hand more, like, during the class, you know? Yeah. So the next thing that I would say is, if you're not sure that you'll get it back, don't give it. Okay? Now, it's a bit vague, so let me explain. I'm talking like, if someone asks for a pen in class because they don't have one, only give it if you're 100% sure that you're going to get it back. Okay? I know this seems petty as heck, okay? Bear with me. But this used to happen all the time, okay? And it was so jarring, because I'd either never get it back, or I'd get it back and it would be ruined, or I'd have to fetch it from halfway across the classroom because they thought it was a good idea to chuck it during the lesson, okay? End of the day, cost of living is hitting hard, especially now. So this is your stuff, you know? You've had to pay for it, and you'd want to respect your things and keep them nice and functional, because you're going to need them every day, right? So you wouldn't let someone else disrespect your belongings, would you? You know? Which brings me back to the starting sentence, okay? If you don't think you'll get it back, don't give it. And this applies to multiple factors, not just with materialistic objects, but also emotionally, okay? If you're giving someone your time, your mental energy, your empathy, your understanding, your moral support, whatever it may be, and that's not being reciprocated, stop it, okay? Cut it off there and then, right? It sucks when you realize this, okay? Because many of us so badly want to give these people the benefit of the doubt, you know, that they just haven't noticed or thought to ask you about how you are, or had the time to be there for you. But let me tell you, nobody is that busy. Especially at this age, nobody is that busy, okay? You know, if someone genuinely cares about you, they will make the time to be there, okay? Now, obviously, you never know what someone else is going through, and I'm also saying that you should not go into every single relationship with the initial thought that you're only ever going to do nice things for them with the expectation of receiving something in return. No, not what I'm getting at. Not the point whatsoever, not at all. When I say giving back, I mean the person simply reciprocating the emotional support that you've given them. Whether that be listening to you when you're going through stuff, or asking about your day, and genuinely wanting to try and make you feel better, you know? In the grand scheme of things, that is not a lot to ask for, okay? It's not a crazy expectation to want someone to show basic levels of respect and care, because in the end of the day, all relationships, whether platonic, family, or romantic, have to be a 50-50, okay? Always. No matter how much someone may do for you physically, okay? Like, let's say they're generous in the sense of buying you gifts, okay? If they're not emotionally available and don't provide emotional support for you when you do that for them, the relationship is not a 50-50. Okay? God, I've moved on to giving relationship advice now. Okay, so next up, talk to the popular kids. Hear me out. I know it seems daunting, but when you're in secondary school, popularity seems to be the only thing that matters. And I'm only just realizing now how stupid it all looked, okay? Like, literally, if any of these people that I was scared to talk to walked up to me now, right, I wouldn't care less, okay? And that's not always necessarily a problem with them, but it could be a problem within yourself, okay? Like, your mindset can often be the reason why these people seem so intimidating to you, okay? Because you put them on such a high pedestal and separate yourself from them so much that they almost seem like an entirely different species. Think about it. Okay, sure, there are some popular people that are really, really mean, obviously, but there are also going to be loads of popular people that are the loveliest people ever. Believe me, I know quite a few of them. And I never spoke to them because I just always kind of thought, oh, they'd never want to speak to me. Who am I to go and talk to them? It's rubbish. Who am I? Who are they? You know, they're people. I'm a person. It's not like a completely different species. You know, don't alienate yourself and don't isolate yourself and, you know, completely shoot yourself in the foot before you've even had a chance to speak to someone. Because if you can't really come up with a reason to do with why you don't like them, like if they haven't done anything to you or said anything to you specifically, then there's no reason for you to not want to talk to them. You know, it might just be something that you're, you know, like there's some sort of barrier that you're creating within yourself because you feel that you are not cool enough or interesting enough to speak to them. It's not the case, okay? When I tell you that some popular people are the most chill people in the world, hence the reason why they're popular, okay? So they're just humans like you and I. They're just kids who are navigating life through the very first time, just like everyone else in the school, who just happen to have a certain reason why more people get along with them, okay? So, yeah, chat with them when you can. I guarantee you, right, there will be a time when you're forced to sit next to one in class. So you might as well try and strike up a conversation because you'll be surprised how nice some of them can be. It doesn't have to be complicated, okay? You don't have to put on a show, but just chat about casual stuff, you know, that you can discuss while you're working and be polite, okay? Of course, there's always going to be arrogant, egotistical people who will act like that you've got the coronavirus and make a big deal about having to be sat next to you. But I swear those types of people were the biggest, wettest gimps that I've ever had the unfortunate experience of coming across. Okay, used with clowns. And I'm not even sure they were that popular. It's just people couldn't be asked standing up to them because they didn't want to get the shit thrown at them as well. Okay? They were mentally 5 years old. Okay? So, yeah. But a lot of the time, the popular kids or the class clowns would usually act out so much in class because they were bored or frustrated. So actually being able to get along with them, you'll find that many will reciprocate that. And who knows? You might actually end up befriending each other. Because beneath the tough act and the put-together appearances, they're just as awkward and clumsy and imperfect as you and I. Because they're kids. That's just how kids are. Okay, so the next thing that I will say is get involved. Okay? There will be opportunities always to join in with extracurricular activities and clubs in school. So get involved in whatever you enjoy, whether that be sports, the arts, the academics. It will speak volumes to others that you have the confidence to put yourself out there and push yourself out your comfort zone. Because although it will seem scary at first, the more you push yourself out your comfort zone, the easier it will become each time. And you'll look back and you'll think, why was I scared to be in the school play? Or why was I so worried about what people would think about me being in the basketball team? Like, who cares? In the end of the day, it's more opportunities to learn more new skills, make new friends, or not, if that's not necessarily what you want to do. And have a break from the usual routine of school life where you don't have to worry about studying this craft for an exam at the end of the year. You know, all you need to do is show up and have fun. And obviously, if you're not having fun, then don't continue because having fun's the most important part, right? Which kind of briefly links onto my next point. Don't make your looks your entire personality. I've seen this with people not only in school but in life where, okay, yeah, they're good looking and for that reason they might get attention, but if that's the only thing that stands out about you, it's gonna get forgotten about quick time, okay? I see people like this and they're always struggling in how to keep a lasting relationship or, you know, why don't people actually want to get to know me on a deeper level or outside of just, you know, the casual small talk and online chit chat. And it's because they get bored, you know? It's unfortunate and it sucks, but that's the thing, you know? That's the case with some people. And if you're too worried about how you look and present yourself physically to people to the extent that it consumes your whole life and becomes all you care about, building things like a personality, hobbies, and talents will be pushed to the side. Because all your energy is consumed by always wanting to be perceived as normal and, you know, leng, essentially. But the annoying thing is, or the sad thing is rather, is that some of these people have the best personalities ever when you actually get to know them. Like, and I always think, why don't you show this part of yourself off more, you know, like to people or online, you know? It's just like they're so scared that actually they'll, you know, that will ruin their image. And I'm like, no, bro, that will get more people to like you. That's, you know, it's refreshing to see someone who is just like completely authentically themselves and not just like everyone else. So yeah, I mean, look, when I tell you in the long run, people respect and admire and want to be with someone who has a life outside their physical attributes, it's true. Because it might be how you look that gets someone interested in you initially, but it's how you act that will determine if they stay hooked on you or not, you know? Because otherwise, friendships and relationships that could have been something will inevitably just be flings. So work on yourself, okay? Find hobbies, experiment with new things, you know, practice your own like mindfulness and like getting to know yourself and your mentality. And yeah, just experiment with new things and find out what you enjoy and what you're talented in. Find your passion, you know, because you need something to fall back on. We can't guarantee that our looks will stay with us forever, right? But things like lifelong skills and enforcing positive mindsets and implementing, you know, passions and stuff will remain. And it's often a great convo starter as well. Like, you know, what do you do for work? Or what are your hobbies? I'm like, you know, bro, how long have you got? We could be here all day. Like, it makes a person more interesting, you know? Cool. So, yeah. The next thing that I have to bring up is something that I believe I briefly mentioned at the end of one of my videos. I can't remember which video it was. It might have been the one where we spoke about embarrassing secondary school stories, and then we kind of briefly went onto a little segment at the end where we kind of tried to give some advice, but I didn't talk about it in as much depth as I would have liked to because I was in a rush. So this is crucial, especially to year 6s going on new year 7s. Don't stress about the change, okay? Whether you've moved schools at any age, but specifically if you've just moved to secondary school from primary school, because it's a big jump, okay? And a massive change to get used to. A lot of students will come down with what people around me used to call the year 7 flu, where many kids who just moved to secondary school would get so anxious that they'd make themselves physically ill. Hi, that was me. The new timetables, the schedules, the new area, the instructions, rules, it's a lot to take on and deal with as an 11-year-old because you didn't need to worry about that in primary school, you know? If you're late, look, just be straight up and say, look, I was late because I got lost. I had trouble finding the class as I'm still getting used to the timetable and finding my way around the new building. And that should be it. You don't need to say it in front of the whole class. You can also say, can I please talk to you after class to explain my reason? And the teacher should be okay with it, you know? Back then, teachers were not as forgiving. At least they weren't for me. So, you know, they gave us like a week to get used to all the new classes when before we'd only ever need to be in one class for all of our lessons. And then after that, you'd get a detention. You'd get a detention for scoring below half on a test. You'd get a detention for being late more than, you know, once or twice a week. And that can, you know, be quite stressful. But look, in the end of the day, what are they going to do? They're going to give you a detention. Okay, cool. You can turn up or you don't turn up. What are they going to do? Give you another detention? You can either turn up or not turn up to that one. Don't stress. Nothing is that important and nothing is that devastating, especially at that age. You're in year 7. It's not that deep. It really is not that deep. You're going to look back at that year in a couple of years' time and you're going to think, what was I stressing out about? Okay. I see people that literally are the most scared little lambs in year 7 and then they're like some next rebels by the time they hit year 9. Now, why I'm saying do not turn into a rebel, do not turn into an annoyance. Don't stress yourself out to the point of making yourself ill. It's not worth it, okay? None of the rules and whatever, nothing in secondary school, especially in year 7, is worth you risking your physical or mental health over. Go in with a cool, collected mindset and think, okay, cool. I'm going to learn at the speed that I learn things because people learn at different speeds, in different ways. And I'm going to be patient with myself and I'm going to boss this year, okay? Be positive. Be positive and look after yourself. Things will happen naturally. Don't worry about looking for friends. You will find friends naturally, okay? So this next piece of advice is for parents specifically. please monitor what your kids get up to online, okay? I'm seeing kids nowadays, younger and younger, being placed with an iPad or an iPhone in front of them. It is the weirdest thing, okay? But if you're gonna give your kid a phone and allow social media, put on as many age restrictions as the app will allow, okay? Because I don't care how mature your kids think they are. At 11, they have barely experienced anything. They're still going to be impressionable and naive. So it's your duty as parents to make sure that your kids are safe, okay? Because in this world of technology, the safety of children is at more risk than ever before, especially a few years ago when there were less like restrictions and, you know, woke and cancel culture wasn't a thing. The internet was a weird place, okay? So yeah. Next up is be careful who you tell your secrets and insecurities to, okay? We currently live in a world of oversharing where everyone's showing the world when they're most vulnerable, okay? And there's good and bad to that, okay? But don't be fooled. People like to try and claim that they're all woke and accepting, but there is still a lot of judgment in today's society, arguably more than ever before, about different things. So be mindful, okay? Because the saying, misery loves company, is the truest thing I've ever heard, okay? And there's this line from the song Somebody That I Used to Know that I never understood before, and it went, you can be addicted to a certain kind of sadness, okay? And I used to think, like, why would anybody want to be addicted to being sad? Like, that's so dumb and depressing. But it's true, okay? You can become complacent in your own misery and attract that negative energy in others, basically continuing the cycle of negativity. Because if you're not self-aware enough or have enough people around you to pick you up on it, you won't want to help yourself, okay? You won't notice that you are self-sabotaging, essentially. I see many people become so comfortable in their own wallowing. And don't get me wrong, a certain amount of wallowing is allowed. If it helps you heal, then that's fine. You know, accept that you're experiencing with some difficult emotions. But it can be frustrating at times because I want to show these people that they can literally help themselves, pull themselves out this rut and do whatever they want because, you know, they are the ones in control. But they just can't seem to see it, okay? When you're in that state of mind, every little thing seems like a big hurdle as well, you know, because you're just too tired. But surround yourself with people who lift you up and push you to be the best version of yourself, or learn how to be by yourself, okay? And that's not just a skill for secondary school, that's a skill for life. But especially in secondary school, where people do tend to be extremely two-faced and flaky and, you know, backstabbing and toxic, you know, find and surround yourself with people who bring you up or, you know, and are positive, or learn to be by yourself, okay? So, yeah. The next thing I will talk about is this. So the ages 13 to 16 are really the most crucial years where you start discovering more stuff about yourself, like who you are as a person or who you like, etc. Don't even deep it, okay? Your thoughts are not your reality, and none of that shit is constant, okay? Look, phases come and go, and if they don't, then they don't, okay? But stressing yourself out over things that are so minuscule are not going to help anything, okay? Experiment with whatever you want, as long as you're not hurting yourself and others, okay? I know that schools can be quite a pain in the sense of restricting a lot of self-expression. So obviously, you know, I'm not saying go and cut your hair into a, you know, mohawk. If that's not allowed in school, then that's not allowed. And what can you really do? But find other ways to kind of, you know, implement little bits of self-expression so that you're slowly becoming more true to who you are authentically, you know, as a person. Yeah? So don't even stress things out, okay? Phases will come and go. You know, if some shit stays constant and some is fleeting, let it, okay? Yeah. We go through so many phases as teenagers, and it's really not that deep. The majority of them never stay, and then we look back at them and think, Jesus, I was such a melt. But yeah, at the end of the day, we're kids. Naturally, it's our natural instinct to be curious and experiment. So yeah, have fun, and as long as you're not hurting yourself or other people, do whatever you want. Yeah. And that kind of leads on to my last point, yeah? You have free will, okay? This sounds risky to say, but for me, I find this liberating. I thrive personally off of independence, and I never thought I would. But once I got older and had less people on my case constantly nagging me to do this and that and the other, and I had more freedom to make my own choices, I felt happier, okay? Because now I know that I'm doing things for myself, not just because I've been told to, or because other people are, or to get a certain grade, you know? So when you get older, you find it a bit easier to find your own passions because it's not being jammed down your throat. I actually found, you know, the things that I didn't learn in school, I had more of a passion for. Or even, you know, things that I would have learned in school, you know, I started learning again because now it wasn't being shoved down my throat with like a curriculum and all that. I had a bit more of an appetite for learning. I've kind of fallen in love with learning, essentially. So, yeah, look, your teen years and your 20s are going to be the messiest years of your life. So you might as well just be an idiot and learn from it, right? I'd rather be an idiot and learn from my mistakes than worry about trying to be perfect all the time and then looking back on these years and feeling like they were a waste. So, some food for thought there. Yeah. Think about that. Okay, well, that is pretty much everything I have to say. I hope some of this was helpful. Again, I'm not an expert, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. And most importantly, be safe out there. Be safe, be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself. And yeah, just be kind. Be kind to yourself and be kind to other people. That's the main moral of the story. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next video or podcast episode, whatever this may become. Yeah, see ya.